Breaking news, an accused killer is behind bars this morning, accused of stabbing a man to death after a bar fight. Alexandra Cohen at Metro Jail, where the suspect was just booked this morning. Good morning, Alexandra.
Good morning, Amy. We're just learning from police that the suspect, Aristolis Alaman, is accused of stabbing the victim, Marvin Campos, after a bar fight. Here is some of the information we confirmed when we were at that scene 3 weeks ago. Alaman was arrested this morning in connection to the March 26th crime, charged with criminal homicide. The affidavit released this morning states the two men were at a bar in South Nashville and were escorted outside because they had gotten into a fight. Documents state that it was outside that Alaman stabbed Campos in the back. He later died at the hospital. The incident was captured by a surveillance system at a nearby laundromat. Police identified Alaman and learned that he was attempting to flee to Mexico or Texas. However, they were able to arrest the suspect right here in Nashville. They went to his last known residence and he was there, and police said in the documents that they even found this same clothing that he was wearing during that alleged incident. Reporting live in Nashville, Alexandra Cohen, News Channel 5.
Alexandra, thank you very much. And more breaking news to tell you about a death investigation going on downtown right now. Hikers stumbled upon some human remains right there by the Cumberland River. News Channel 5's Matthew Torres is down at the riverfront right now. And where were these remains found? Were they in the water or just alongside the banks of the river?
Yeah, it was alongside the bank of the river, right between James Robertson Parkway and the railroad bridge. Around 7 o'clock last night, that is when three hikers just walking down, again, alongside that river, stumbled upon the skeletal remains. Obviously, at first not knowing what it was, then went to the Criminal Justice Center, which is just really down the road, and reported it to police. Investigators came out with their boats, again, out to the scene here on the Cumberland River and discovered the remains. At first, they weren't sure just yet. In fact, they took them several hours really to get all of those remains and bring it to the medical examiner. But according to Metro Police, we have learned this morning, they believe that these are human remains. Now, of course, this is still early on in the investigation, so we have yet to find out who these remains belong to, how they died, and really how long these remains have been out here. So that will, of course, be a part of the investigation as this continues. The medical examiner has those remains, and hopefully we'll get an update at least later today or later this week. For now, reporting live at Riverfront Park, Matthew Torres, News Channel 5.
Thank you, Matthew. New this morning, a Vanderbilt student was the victim of an attempted robbery overnight. Vanderbilt police sent out an alert overnight to students. This happened on the 25th Avenue South. Someone in a white sedan, this one right here, got out of the car, approached the victim and demanded money and threatened to pull out a gun. The student continued walking and the individual in the car got back in his vehicle. If you have any information, call police. And right now, a man is in the hospital after being brutally pistol whipped overnight, and his attacker is still on the run. Kimberly Davis in Springfield, where it all happened overnight, and we understand the gun went off at some point during this.
Amy, good morning. That's right. That gun went off, nearly striking the victim. That victim is lucky to be alive this morning and recovering in the hospital after being pistol whipped in the head. As you just mentioned, that gun went off, and then that suspect took off on foot, leaving the scene before police officers could respond. Take a look at this video from Smoky Bar News overnight. This all happened around 10:30 last night at Stop One Market in Springfield. We're told the suspect pistol whipped the victim, and that's when the gun discharged. Police tell us initially they thought a man had been shot because of the gunfire, but thankfully no one was. Springfield police searched the area using flashlights to try and find shell casings. The victim was transported to North Crest Medical Center with a head injury, but is expected to be okay. Now, police are telling us they're not sure if that gun was fired intentionally, but they are looking further into that. They gathered evidence from the scene, and they're hoping that evidence will help lead them to an arrest. If you have any information that could help investigators in their search for the suspect, give Springfield Police a call. For now, we are live in Springfield. I'm Kimberly Davis, News Channel 5.
Kimberly, thank you. At just 3 hours after being added to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's most wanted list, an accused killer is behind bars. Isaiah Prim, he's the one there on the left side of your screen, is charged with first-degree murder. Curtis Prim on the right is facing half a dozen charges in connection to the same crime. Police have not released many details about what led up to this deadly shooting on Picnic Street in Charlotte Tuesday morning over in Dixon County. The shooting left Quentin Tidwell and Mercedes Bell dead and injured a third victim. Tony Tidwell, he's the dad of the two of the victims, spoke exclusively with News Channel 5, telling us he's heartbroken over the loss of one son, but also thinking about his other son, Monty Springer, who somehow survived after being shot 9 times.
He's getting stronger. He's talking now. And we just thrilled to death. You know, he was shot 9 times, it says. That's what the doctor said. He was shot 9 times.
Tony tells us he knows the alleged shooter, Curtis Prim, is his cousin. A 5-year-old girl is recovering after being hit by a car. We're told the little girl was crossing 40th Avenue North near Albion Street last night when she was hit. A neighbor saw her lying in the yard and raced over to help out.
I could see that her leg was swollen and she was bleeding behind her ear a little bit. She looked to be like 3 to 5 years old. And I told her just stay calm, the help was on the way. And she said she was in pain, and I said it's going to be all right, help is on the way.
Nice neighbor right there. The little girl is expected to be okay. She's got a broken leg, we're told. The driver stayed on the scene and was questioned by police. No word yet if any charges are going to be filed against the driver.
A teenager had to be rushed to the hospital after getting sucker punched at school, and it was caught on camera. Take a look at this cell phone video from Mount Pleasant High School. You can see several students rounding the corner when out of nowhere the student in the green punches another student in the face. That student was seriously injured. The incident is under investigation, but so far no charges have been filed. And several students in Williamson County are facing felony charges after posting threats online. Franklin High School's principal notified parents after conversations were found on a texting app discussing violence at the school. Several of those students have been arrested and charged with filing a false report.